Hi everyone, I'm Joan, and today our topic is the sealed envelope is an appropriate strategy for ensuring confidentiality of patient information. So let's start with some background information. The sealed envelope was introduced in response to the privacy and confidentiality concerns that arose from the Connecting for Health IT project. This project has several objectives, which include to upload summaries of the NHS care records of all of the patients and eventually everyone in the UK. To provide easy access to patients' health records for clinicians based on the role-based access control, meaning only particular job roles have access to the information, and legitimate relationship, meaning only people who have a direct relationship with the patient have access. So is the sealed envelope simply an envelope? No. Since clinicians and NHS staff can access the information on a need-to-know basis with just the NHS card and passwords, the sealed envelope was introduced to enhance restriction to sensitive information patients wish to withhold from general view. So these sensitive information includes mental health records, sexually transmitted diseases, etc. So how does the sealed envelope work? The first step is to identify sets of sensitive information, and the next step is to decide on the level of sealing. And currently there are two levels for sealing. Type 1 is sealed only, where the information is available to the work group and users outside the work group with patient's consent, or through override, meaning due to public interest, people such as civil servants have justifiable access to the information without patient's consent. The next type is sealed and locked, meaning users outside the work group are unaware of the information, the existence of the information, and hence they cannot see the information. So in this case, no override is possible. However, it can still be used by the work group. So patients can have multiple sealed envelopes with different levels of sealing, and they can change it as often as they want, given that the clinician informs them of the consequences of their decisions. So with this background information, the use thinks the sealed envelope is an appropriate strategy for ensuring confidentiality. Now my teammates are going to carry on with continued debate. And Toby, Jacob, Adele, and Yoko are going to speak for the motion. Toby, Bruno, and Joy are going to speak against the motion.
Thanks, John. Anyway, one of the strong points for the sealed envelope strategy is that it addresses privacy concerns. People have got the right to know that information about them is kept confidential. For example, people living with HIV/AIDS have the right to know that information about them is kept confidential by everyone involved in their care, including the prevention and care program planners, service providers, and also funders. You understand? And also, other people that would love the information kept confidential include people with mental health issues, such as depression, schizophrenia, and other related mental health conditions. And also, a lady with the issue of termination of pregnancy during teenage years, wouldn't want anybody, wouldn't want to divulge this information to just anybody. Anyway, another strong point for the sealed envelope strategy is that it addresses the issue of discrimination. How do I mean? Deregulated access to health information has got several risks. How do I mean? Having access to people's information, just by a click on the button, has got several risks because as medicine develops, more and more will be known not only about people's present health, but also about people's future health. What does this mean? This means that you could easily predict that a particular person with, say, a particular medical or surgical condition, you could easily predict that a particular person with a particular medical or surgical condition, you could predict what will happen to this person in a couple of years. And this argument could just people's ability to get jobs, life insurances, and even mortgages. If I could quickly use an example, using the college, let's say Togochukwu, Let's assume Tovechiku has got a particular unfavorable medical condition to work. As an employer, I'll be skeptical in employing Tovechiku because I'm thinking about our productivity, and because this obviously might lead her to get the job eventually. And example of such medical condition would be HIV. This will bring about epileptic nature of work. She's going to be well today, sick tomorrow. I don't want to be like such a person. And I could, from the point of view of an insurance company, let's say I were to be an insurance company, people like Tovechiku would have difficulty in getting life insurance, because why would I want to insure? She's going to drop dead anytime soon. And from the financial institution's point of view, if I were to be HSBC, she will not be able to benefit from such facilities as mortgages, And however, with this sealed envelope strategy, such sensitive information will be kept confidential. Thank you.
The sealed envelope, however, is complex because of the varying acts and laws that come into place. Under the Data Protection Act, patients expect that their health records will be safeguarded and protected. However, a clinician under this act has the right to sell information from patients when he thinks that the information from a third party can potentially harm this patient. In this case, what are the criteria for a clinician's sealed envelope? At the moment, there are none. Under the common law, the patient can expect the personal information about him will be kept confidential. If Jacob has got HIV, and that is classified as a sensitive piece of information, he expects that his GP keep it confidential. And as such, the GP has a duty of confidentiality to Jacob. But this was not the case in a report by Ross Anderson in 2006. Here, treatment records of HIV patients from a UK hospital, originally thought to be anonymized, were actually re-identified at the Public Health Institute without patients' consent or knowledge. This was considered illegal, in breach of patient confidentiality and data protection. However, the government's response to it was that it was legal under the Health and Social Care Act, and they take precedence over the confidence and data protection of law. If I should ask you this, Jacob, is that fair or is that ethical? Even if the sealed envelope can be accessed by people, at least they need your consent, and you need to know what they're going to do with your information, surely. In terms of override, where the public interest outweighs the patient consent, a policeman with a Crown Court order can break a sealed envelope. And with time, I do predict that such requests will be automatic, and perhaps a dedicated BT line will be in place for people to ring to get access to people's sealed envelope without a court order. Secondly, a clinician, still on in the issue of public interest, can disclose the message of the sealed envelope without patient's consent. It is clearly subjective as there are no criteria governing that. And to crown it all, the IT contractors responsible for this project indicate that they understand the concept of the sealed envelope, but they cannot go ahead to implement it because of the unclear specification and policy. And until these things are fully addressed, the idea that the sealed envelope provides patient confidentiality is actually non-existent. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Toby, for your strong arguments against the motion. However, I would like to say that I'm still in support of the motion, and I believe that our House believes that basically sealed envelope strategy addresses a very important fundamental ethical issue, which is the respect of the patient privacy, confidentiality. And I also think that introduction of the sealed envelope strategy is an implementation strategy is absolutely key and critical for the success of the Connecting for Health project. Going back to 2006, the Health Committee introduced the sealed envelope strategy to respond to the increasing concerns raised from the GPs and from the patients with regard to the issue of privacy and confidentiality of the health record.